on First at 9 this Tuesday, the 4th of November 2025. Unplugged. Government halts new wind power projects in Mannar. No projects opposed by the public to be implemented, says the President. Helping hand. Sri Lanka to secure a $30 million loan for sustainable energy projects. Another $100 million from ADB to boost tourism. Bailed. Former Finance Ministry Secretary Charita Ratwata arrested over alleged financial fraud, released on bail. PM's promise. Prime Minister vows a vocational education and skills stream for the advanced level within 3 years.
Kalin baby soap රුපියල් 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Derana News Channel, Sri Lanka's most trusted news source. I'm Tatya Aranayake, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story. Now, the Cabinet has decided not to implement any new wind power projects beyond the 3 currently operating on Mannar Island. This decision follows President Anurukumara Dissanayaka's directive to the relevant authorities not to proceed with additional wind power projects without the consent of the people of Mannar, taking into consideration the environmental and social concerns they have raised.
A few years ago, the government initiated plans to establish the Mannar Wind Power Park in the vicinity of Mannar Island. Mannar Island was chosen as the preferred destination for this investment since reports indicated that the region had the highest wind potential in the country. Initially, 3 wind power projects were approved by the government, with the first among them being the Thambapavani Wind Power Plant. The Thambapavani Wind Power Plant, which commenced operations in 2021, was constructed in Nadukkuda, Mannar. 2 additional projects, a 20 megawatts wind power plant and 50 megawatts wind power plant, were subsequently planned under the second and third phases of the project. They were scheduled to begin operations in December this year and December 2026 respectively. However, residents of Mannar continue to protest against the construction of the wind power plants, citing potentially adverse environmental and social consequences. Tensions reached a tipping point on the 26th of September this year when a convoy carrying the wind power plant's equipment was obstructed by protesting Mannar residents. Despite the residents' strong objections, the convoy passed through under heavy police protection. In response to the sustained opposition, President Dissanayaka recently ordered a temporary suspension of the 2 ongoing wind farm projects. He also emphasized that the projects would not proceed without the approval of the Central Environmental Authority's assessment reports. Against this backdrop, the Cabinet decided at its meeting yesterday not to proceed with any wind power projects beyond the 3 currently operating on Mannar Island.
Taking into consideration the concerns raised by the public regarding environmental and social issues associated with these projects, the President has instructed the relevant authorities not to proceed further without the consent of the people. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved actions in line with this directive. It was therefore decided not to implement any additional wind power projects in Mannar Island beyond the 3 currently in operation without the consent of the local community.
2026 දී තව එකක් ආරම්භ කරනවා. දැන් ළඟදිත් විරෝධතාවයක් තිබ්බා. පොලිසියෙන් ගැහුවා. ඒ මිනිස්සු එළෙව්වා. ආයෙත් පටන් ගන්නද යන්නේ 2026 දී. එක පැත්තකින් පුනර්ජනනීය බල ශක්ති නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්නත් ඕන.
On one hand, we need to promote renewable energy. However, not every location is suitable for such projects. There have been protests in certain locations when they were identified as suitable locations. We have taken these concerns into account, and based on that, we have decided against starting any other wind power projects apart from the 3 already in operation. Those are the directives and instructions given by the President.
ඔබේ සම හඳුනාගෙන ඖෂධීය ශාකසාරමේ forever face wash එකක් භාවිතා කරන්න. අප වෙනුවෙන් කැපවූ ලංකාවේ අපේ අංක 1 dialogue.
The government will enter into an agreement with the International Finance Corporation of the World Bank Group to obtain a $30 million loan to finance the secure, bearable and sustainable energy project. Meanwhile, cabinet approval was also granted to obtain a loan of $100 million from the Asian Development Bank to implement the Sustainable Tourism Sector Development Program.
The Cabinet greenlit the decision to enter into loan agreements with the Asian Development Bank to implement the Sustainable Tourism Sector Development Program. The agreements will secure a total of $100 million, $70 million from concessionary general capital resources, and $30 million from ordinary capital resources with clearance from the Central Bank and the Attorney General's Department. Approval was also granted to enter into an agreement with the International Finance Corporation of the World Bank Group to obtain a $30 million loan for the Secure, Bearable and Sustainable Energy Project. The loan facility, to be provided as a sub-loan to the Ceylon Electricity Board or its affiliated entities, will be secured in line with the financial rules and regulations recommended by the Public Debt Management Office. The Cabinet approved the decision to implement a new methodology for funding selected project proposals under the Research and Development Commercialization approach. The system, backed by a 1 billion rupee budget allocation, introduces a two-phase evaluation process, technical and administrative, to identify high-impact projects with grants up to 50 million rupees disbursed through the Bank of Ceylon in coordination with the Treasury's Development Finance Department. Meanwhile, the Cabinet approved the decision to recruit female officers for the posts of Railway Engine Driver, Railway Superintendent, Station Master and Railway Supervisory Manager. This approval, granted under Clause 1 of Article 55 of the Constitution, enables the inclusion of women in these positions for the first time, as existing recruitment procedures did not previously allow female appointments. The Cabinet approved the decision to implement the Road Protection Action Plan 2025 to 2026 to improve the quality of road infrastructure, minimize road accidents and ensure a safer, more equitable transport environment across Sri Lanka. Per the current data, the annual death rate due to road accidents stands at 11.2 per 10,000 persons, which exceeds the recommended and United Nations approved protection limit for the second Global Action Decade 2021 to 2030 for road safety. The Cabinet greenlit the decision to complete the ongoing and suspended district and divisional secretariat building projects by revising cost estimates and expediting construction work. Several projects had been delayed or halted due to funding shortages and rising construction costs, and will now be included in the government's investment plan for phased completion.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya says the vocational education and skills stream, an initiative under the education reforms set to come into effect in 2026, will be made available to advanced level students within 3 years. She also noted that the education reforms must respond to the reality beyond classrooms. The National College of Education Technology, established in Kuliapitiya following an MOU inked with the Korea International Cooperation Agency, was inaugurated yesterday. The NCOET, established with funding totaling $15 million, comprises 9 biosystems laboratories, smart laboratories, an e-library, multipurpose buildings and hostel facilities to accommodate up to 630 students.
The handover of this new National College of Education on Technology is another symbol of our shared commitment to education and technology. This college will serve as a center of excellence for training technical teachers who will shape the next generation of Sri Lankan students in science and technology. I sincerely hope that the college will become a cornerstone of Sri Lanka's human capital development and a driving force for its industrial growth. Its true success will depend on how it is operated and nurtured in the years to come. I therefore kindly urge Honorable Prime Minister and the officials of the Ministry of Education to continue their support and attention so that this college may thrive as a living symbol of our two countries' friendship and shared commitment to education. I'm confident that we can together empower young minds, advance technology, and shape a brighter and more prosperous future.
For decades, our education system has focused on the arts, commerce, and science streams, and as the global economy evolved, the demand for knowledge that links theory with practice and learning with innovation was a growing demand from the education system. As you know, in our education transformation that we have initiated in 2025, we have also introduced a vocational education and skills stream, and that too is an area where we would need to develop our teachers, our student teachers, and ensure that in 3 years we are ready to offer the vocational skills stream also at the A levels. Education reforms in any nation must respond to the realities beyond the classroom. This is why we also need to have the additional vocational stream which can expand further these opportunities. We also need to make sure that our higher education systems are then ready to absorb the students coming out of this process, something that I think we missed a little bit when the technology and science stream was introduced, but something that we are now trying to address. So we need to make sure that the courses offered here are aligned with the needs or the qualifications required for these students if they wish to pursue higher education. We have started investing in our other 19 colleges as well because we have recognized the importance of our teachers. Our hope is that every school from Dondra to Point Pedro will eventually have highly qualified, competent teachers who will be able to educate and inspire our future generations in all the different disciplines that we want to offer to our students.
Do what you do, let the world look up to you, shoot what you see, be who you wanna be. Search with a smile, create your own style. Gemini Live, make moments come alive. Be anywhere, rock anytime. With awesome AI by your side. Be anywhere, rock anytime. Be brilliant, be always intelligent. Download fast, stream it all night. One tap, move, everything feel right. Snap it clean, edit like a pro. Smarter with Gemini, let the magic flow.
Introducing Samsung Galaxy A17 5G. The power to be always intelligent.
An Indian Ocean tsunami simulation exercise is scheduled to take place tomorrow in line with World Tsunami Awareness Day. The Disaster Management Center reveals that the event is being conducted as part of a regional drill coordinated by the UNESCO Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission through the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System. The exercise will be carried out in selected Grama divisions within the coastal districts of Batiklo, Jaffna, Galle and Kalutara.
UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission has established the Intergovernmental Coordination Group for the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System. The Intergovernmental Coordination Group has organized a tsunami drill named IO Wave 25. The group includes 28 countries in the region, including Sri Lanka. Accordingly, we have arranged to conduct the drill tomorrow, the 5th of November, together with other participating countries. For this exercise, we have selected 4 districts in Sri Lanka: Batiklo, Jaffna, Galle and Kalutara, spanning 4 Grama divisions in total. Reports from India, Indonesia and Australia keep us informed of tsunamis which occur in the Indian Ocean. Through this drill, we aim to raise civic awareness on what a tsunami is and what actions can be taken to reduce risk and loss of life. One member of each family will be chosen for the drill. The participant is then expected to share the pertinent information gathered at the drill with the rest of their family. The police have been briefed on the security measures to be implemented during the course of the drill to prevent the participants' property from being stolen in their absence. Participants must ensure that all required items for the drill are properly arranged, as these are essential. It is also important that people are clearly informed of the designated evacuation areas and the routes to be taken. There are 15 different methods to issue warnings, with towers being just one among them. The purpose of having multiple methods is that if one system fails, the remaining 14 can still function. These include warnings sent via SMS, through the military and through our own internal systems as well.
Former Secretary to the Ministry of Finance and a former senior advisor to the Prime Minister Charita Ratwatta, who was arrested earlier this morning, was released after being produced before the court. The arrest was made in connection with an investigation into a financial fraud allegedly committed during the Good Governance government.
Former Secretary to the Ministry of Finance Charita Ratwatte, who also served as a senior advisor to the Prime Minister from 2015 to 2018, was arrested this morning by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The arrest was in connection with an incident where the Sri Lanka State Trading Corporation had procured 50 temporary warehouses for temporary grain storage through an institution introduced by Ratwatte, despite there being no requirement for such purchases at the time. It is alleged that the transaction violated due procedure, resulting in a loss of 99,679,799 rupees to the government and an equivalent gain to an external party. The arrestee was produced before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court this evening. The magistrate ordered Ratwate's release on two sureties of 1 million rupees each, imposed a travel ban and instructed him to refrain from influencing witnesses. Meanwhile, 4 officials, including Lalit Daulugala, former chairman of the Ceylon Fisheries Corporation, were arrested by the Bribery Commission later in the day. The suspects are accused of corruption in relation to a 2020 purchase of machinery for the Fisheries Corporation, deviating from the approved procurement process, causing a financial loss of 5,856,116 rupees to the government. The suspects are scheduled to be produced before court.
Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, the Vatican Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations, says Pope Leo XIV will consider a visit to Sri Lanka in the near future. Archbishop Gallagher made this statement during a discussion with President Andra Desanayake this morning.
The Vatican Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations, Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, who is in Sri Lanka on an official visit, met President Andra Desanayake this morning. At the meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat, the President thanked the Archbishop for his visit to Sri Lanka on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of state relations between Sri Lanka and the Holy See and briefed him on the current political and economic situation in the country. The President inquired about the well-being of Pope Leo XIV and conveyed his best wishes for his health and well-being. Archbishop Gallagher, who said that he and His Holiness the Pope greatly appreciate the current progress in Sri Lanka, added that Pope Leo will consider a visit to Sri Lanka in the near future. Meanwhile, a discussion was held between Archbishop Gallagher and Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath at the Foreign Ministry today.
This high-level engagement is a clear reflection of our close ties and our mutual desire to deepen this partnership in the years ahead. The Holy See has long been a moral voice on the global stage, advocating for justice, reconciliation, peace and disarmament, and the rights of all peoples, values that deeply resonate with the aspirations of the Sri Lankan people.
The meeting took place in a very cordial atmosphere and addressed issues related to current international challenges, bilateral cooperation, and opportunities for further cultural exchange between the Holy See and Sri Lanka.
Archbishop Gallagher is set to remain in Sri Lanka until November 8th and is scheduled to visit several important locations in the country.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa urged Indian authorities for an update into the Indo-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement to reflect modern trade realities. The opposition leader, who is currently on an official visit to India, shared these thoughts during his meeting with Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in New Delhi.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, currently on an official visit to India, met with Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today at the Finance Ministry in New Delhi. Discussions focused on strengthening bilateral economic cooperation, regional integration and exploring new avenues for industrial collaboration between the two nations. The Indian Finance Minister emphasized that the Sri Lankan industries have immense potential to expand by gaining access to India's vast market. She noted that such engagement could significantly boost Sri Lanka's industrial growth. According to the opposition leader's media division, both sides agreed that enhancing strong domestic industries is vital to safeguarding Sri Lanka's economic sovereignty. Premadasa expressed his appreciation for the $4 billion financial assistance extended by India during Sri Lanka's economic crisis. He also proposed establishing an India-Sri Lanka industrial zone to promote joint ventures, technology transfer and collaborative manufacturing. In addition, he urged the Indian Finance Minister to update the Indo-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement to reflect contemporary trade dynamics and emerging economic realities. Meanwhile, during a separate meeting with the senior representatives of the Confederation of Indian Industry, the opposition leader proposed the creation of an India-Sri Lanka joint industrial and technology trade zone in Sri Lanka dedicated to Indian industries and designed to foster innovation, investment and partnership.
With that, here's a look at some thoughts shared in the political arena today.
Is the government's so-called renaissance one where farmers are left abandoned while their livelihoods collapse? Given this reality, is it so wrong for the opposition to hold a rally on November 21st? While some opposition parties have chosen not to participate, we remain united under one clear agenda. The cost of living continues to rise, and though we have no intention of causing distress to ministers or their families as was once done to us, we will stand for the people's concern.
දැන් 21 රැලිය ගැන ඉතින් ඔබතුමා කතා කරේම දැන් ඒකට එන්නේ කවුද? දැන් ගොඩක් අය කියන්නේ එන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
The Sri Lanka Opposition Peramuna is fully capable of raising awareness on national concerns even without the support of other parties. Take a closer look at the extent of this country's decline and the way it has been brought to its current predicament. The government is now working to address those very issues and concerns. Regardless of the opposition's attempt to disrupt these efforts through various schemes, the people will not stand with them. With the cost of living continuing to soar, the government has repeatedly proven its inefficiency by failing in every measure to ease the public's burden. As a party, the SJB will not officially take part in the rally. However, we will extend our guidance to those who do, and certain members or groups within the party might join the rally independently. No one can tell me not to participate in the rally. The government is clearly attempting to sabotage the event and intimidate certain political leaders. Some may be frightened when confronted with charges, but others remain undeterred. Some party leaders make politically motivated decisions, and we must respect those decisions. However, we cannot wait for them to join us. Our responsibility is to move forward and act in the best interest of the people. I have worked with those individuals for 15 years and eventually distanced myself from their party after realizing that their political culture brings no positive impact to the nation or its people. I am not naive enough to align with them again. I hope they will not be able to regain the presidency.
Welcome back to First at 9. Now taking you to more local news. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of the United Arab Emirates, Saeed bin Mubarak al-Hajeri, arrived in Sri Lanka, commencing his official visit to the island. Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs in a statement noted that the UAE State Minister is slated to co-chair the second session of the Joint Commission between Sri Lanka and the United Arab Emirates, together with Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment Arun Hemachandra. The UAE is one of Sri Lanka's most significant trading partners in the Middle East, ranking as Sri Lanka's 7th highest export destination in 2024. It also hosts the largest number of Sri Lankans in a single country in the Middle East. The visiting state minister is scheduled to pay a courtesy call on the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijitha Herath, and will also call on the Minister of Ports and Civil Aviation Aruna Karunatilaka. Now in your business news, the Colombo Bourse closed on a mixed note today as a result of price gains in counters such as Senkadagala Finance, Sunshine Holdings and Colombo Dockyard. The Colombo Stock Exchange All-Share Price Index settled 0.11% higher to close at 22,953.49 points. Meanwhile, the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 slipped 0.05%, ending the session at 6,249.28 points. Market turnover crossed 4.4 billion rupees, with the capital goods sector closing as the top contributor. Food, beverage and tobacco sector was the second highest contributor to the market turnover. Foreign participation in the market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers. With that, here's a look at today's foreign exchange rates. Canada lowered the number of international student permits it issued for the second year in a row in 2025 as part of a broader effort to reduce the number of temporary migrants and address fraud related to student visas. As a result, around 74% of Indian applications for permits to study at Canadian post-secondary institutions in August were rejected compared to about 32% in August 2023. About 24% of Chinese study permits were also rejected in August 2025. The number of Indian applicants has dropped as well from 20,900 in August 2023, when Indians formed just over 1/4 of all applicants, to 4,515 rather in August 2025. India has been Canada's top source of international students over the past decade. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.